Yeah, I'll react to that, sure.
Hey guys, okay. Continuing, Nerd of the Rings. Great channel. This one is the 9 Rings of Power for Men. Nazgul. I love Lord of the Rings. I love learning more about the lore. There's a lot of it. Tolkien created a masterpiece for sure. 4K. Nice. Yeah, my name's Connor if you are new, and I like to watch things on YouTube. Yeah, love for you to join. Original link to the video, top of the description. Right below that, link to the Discord. Click on it. Send right over there. You guys are great at helping me out when I have questions here. Let's get right into it. Phones
3
away.
rings for the elven kings under the sky. 7 for the dwarf lords in their halls of stone. 9 for mortal men doomed to die. They were the rings that worked just as Sauron had intended, first giving their owners great power, then reducing them to his slaves. Today on Nerd of the Rings, we cover the 9 rings of power, the 9 rings of the Nazgul. The 9 rings share the same origin as the 7 of the dwarves. They were made in Eregion by the Gwaith y Myrdain, the elven smiths under their lord Celebrimbor. Unlike the later 3 rings of the elves, the 9 are made with Sauron's help, binding them even more to his one ring. Despite
wasn't he like in disguise?
Being in a vault in Eregion as Sauron creates the one ring.
Shut up.
Despite being in a vault in Eregion as Sauron creates the One Ring around 1600 of the Second Age, the 9 would fall into the Dark Lord's hands. In 1697, when Sauron sacks the realm and kills Celebrimbor, he claims the 9 rings, along with those that would go to the dwarves. Sometime in the next
I just want to say, guys, the dates really mean nothing to me right now. I gain no insight over them because I don't know the I don't have a good grasp of the time, the depth of time and whatnot, and the years and the different ages, and so seeing the years, it doesn't
500 years,
kind of register.
Presumably after 1701, when he is driven out of Eriador, Sauron would give these 9 rings to great men in Middle-earth, tempted by his power. We know that 3 of the 9 men were lords of Numenor. For one other, we are given an actual name, Khamûl the Easterling. Where the other 5 came from, we can only guess. We are told the rings of power gave their wearers powerful magical abilities, and the ability to influence people's will. For these men, it gave to them very long life, and in their day they would become mighty kings, sorcerers, and warriors. However, the cost of trusting Sauron would come due. Over time, they begin to see things of the unseen, the world where both good and evil spiritual beings existed, whether they appeared in the physical world or not. Their bodily forms fade until they become wraiths entirely, living within the unseen world, slaves under the domination of Sauron's One Ring. In 2251 of the Second Age, as Numenor becomes divided between 2 opposing factions, these 9 men first appear in Middle-earth as the Nazgul, the black speech word for Ringwraiths. While we know the Nazgul would first appear in 2251, we know not where or what they did. In fact, their deeds during the Dark Years, Sauron's time in Numenor, and the War of the Last Alliance are entirely unknown. What we do know is that when Sauron is defeated in 3441 by the Last Alliance, the 9 fade into the shadows for over 1,000 years. Now I go more in depth into the Ringwraiths and their actions in 2 previous videos, so we'll primarily stick to the actions involving their rings here.
Okay.
But check out those videos if you're interested in their travels and the Angmar Wars of the Witch King.
Okay.
Speaking of Angmar, it is around 1300 of the Third Age when Sauron's presence in Dol Guldur brings about evil things in the Misty Mountains. It is also during this time that the Nazgul reappear in Middle-earth, and their leader gathers evil men to him in the north, founding the Witch Kingdom of Angmar, thus giving the Lord of the Nazgul his
So this is Mirkwood, right? It's just Rivonian.
Witch Kingdom of Angmar, thus giving the Lord of the Nazgul his well-known name. It's entirely possible that the Witch King's Ring of Power aided him in drawing followers to his realm in order to attack and destroy the realm of Arnor. But this brings up another common debate regarding the 9 Rings of Power. Who was it that actually possessed them? The Wraiths themselves, or Sauron? There seem to be conflicting accounts when it comes to the possession of the 9. In the chapter The Council of Elrond in the Fellowship of the Ring, Gandalf, when talking of the Rings of Power, says, "The 9 the Nazgul keep," seeming to imply that the Ringwraiths still possess their rings. However, in other places, we are led to believe that Sauron had taken the 9 rings himself, possibly to augment his own power in his attempted return in the later Third Age.
But wouldn't that lose control over the 9? Or wouldn't their kind of power wane, or their...
We know that Frodo does not see any rings.
They are what they are, or they became what they became because of wearing the rings, so...
On the Nazgul in the later Third Age. We know that Frodo does not see any rings on the Nazgul at Weathertop, and it's entirely logical that the rings would still have tremendous effect over the 9, even when not in their possession.
Okay.
As we see with Gollum, a ring of power can have a great hold over people, despite them not possessing it.
Good point.
And it is likely that the Wraiths possessed their rings for well over 4 times as long as Gollum possessed the one. It was well over 2,200 years, and possibly over 4,000, compared to Gollum's 500. We know that the Wraiths certainly would not have needed their rings in order to be invisible. It is only due to their wearing of silver hauberks and black cloaks that they are visible to those in the seen world. They shed these during the attack on Osgiliath, which masks their crossing of the river Anduin in order to search for the One Ring. Surrounding the Nazgul is also an aura of terror, as we hear many times of the effect that they have on those around them, even those that cannot see them. As Tolkien once wrote in a letter, they have no great physical power against the fearless, but what they have, and the fear that they inspire, is enormously increased in darkness. Another unique weapon given to the Ringwraiths is called the Black Breath. It is a foul and poisonous...
What the hell, Harry Potter? What's her name? Jesus, what's her name? How am I blanking? This is just like the Dementors. Are the Dementors based on the breath? How they like feed on? They like, it's the fear, and like they don't have any power against the fearless. What's her name? Why am I blanking on her name? Harry Potter.
Effect.
J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling. Jesus, sorry.
That people would fall under who had close contact with one of the Nazgul. In the books, we see this occur to Merry twice, once in Bree and also alongside Éowyn in their battle with the Witch King. Faramir would also fall under the Black Breath when he is grievously wounded. All 3 would be healed by Aragorn in the Houses of Healing, fulfilling the prophecy, when the Black Breath blows and death's shadow grows, and all lights pass, come Ethelas, come Ethelas. Life to the dying, in the king's hand lying. The Nazgul, having been drawn into the unseen world by their rings of power, had poor vision in the material world, but they were keenly aware of beings who also existed in the unseen. This would include beings such as Gandalf and Glorfindel, but also mortals wearing the One Ring, meaning that when Frodo puts on the One Ring at Weathertop, it actually makes it much easier for the Nazgul to see him. Frodo, along with those existing in the unseen, could view the Nazgul as they appeared as men, the pale forms of the sorcerers and rulers they once were. As we know, the One Ring would be unmade, and the fortress of Barad-dûr would be destroyed as a result. Whether in the destruction of Barad-dûr or in the eruption of Mount Doom with their wearers, the 9 Rings of Power would be destroyed as well. While it doesn't mention this in The Lord of the Rings, the final chapter of the Silmarillion tells us The 1 and the 7 and the 9 are destroyed, and the 3 have passed away, and with them the Third Age is ended. Now that we have covered the 3, the 7, and the 9, make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss my upcoming video on the One Ring. I'll cover its history, abilities, how it affects different wearers,
watch the Dwarf
and of
Elf.
course,
Did I
its
watch the
travels. As always, I want to say a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters who make this channel possible. Tom DeBombadil 19, Kella Brimbor, Jim Limber Davis, Listen Me the Cinda, Mandu Pandu, Sky Carcass, Slide Belts, Dane Ragnarsson.
All right, great video. Nerd of the Rings, awesome channel. Check him out. Yeah, I want to say I need to read the Silmarillion. I really do. How much of it is written by his son or whatnot? I got to find out. Not that I'm saying. It's just like I don't care if you're his son or if you're his wife, or it's just like you're not him, and so I'm never gonna see post Lord of the Rings lore post mortem as the same as, you know, what Tolkien, to a lesser degree, kind of like I'll see the Star Wars films as not the same as when Lucas was kind of in lesser though. Awesome video. Love learning about it. See you guys next time.